There it is, the call from Joel Kane and the crew at SEN, who will be calling all finals games live here on 1170 AM. Now, Scope, you were out there for the call. Give us a feel for the game, the crowd, the atmosphere, the experience last night.
Yeah, I did the run home with Sugar before he called the game, and I was leaving roughly about 6:30. You could see both crowds rolling in because the Swannies were playing next door as well. There's good energy around the area. It's I guess there'll be a lot of debate around the crowds playing the games at the same time, but I guess with Allianz and the Moore Park area, it is a good area for sports. It's probably, it's the highlight of what we've got in Sydney with regards to watching games now. I always say that, my favourite stadium to watch footy and have played at was Suncorp Stadium. The Sydney Football Stadium was okay, but this new revamped Allianz is as good as it gets, and a bit disappointing in the crowds. I guess that's one thing to start off with, but I thought the game was highly entertaining. I thought it was a good game. Obviously a tale of two halves, which we'll get down and we'll break down some key moments. You were looking at me during that little audio bit with regards. Let's start off with that.
Yeah, let's start with the penalty try, which kicked off the scoring for the game. I gave you the thumbs up, thumbs down. You went thumbs up for that. Trindle, of course, chips through. No one in front of him. Cotter tackles him without the ball. The contentious point, I guess, is does he beat Dearden to the try, or was there enough doubt for that to be 10 in the bin and penalty?
I'll tell you what, I was deciding whether thumbs up, thumbs down. I think this is a rare occasion where both teams got a positive outcome out of it. So
you think a 10 in the bin's a bigger penalty?
Yep, in a finals game. So when I was watching that, I was going, this is going to kill the Cowboys early. They've lost all their momentum. Whether the Sharks were able to score points, we'll never know now because we didn't get to see it. But what the Sharkies did, they got an early lead after weathering the storm. They got 6 points on the board. I think it was a genuine 50-50. Maybe I was sort of leaning 60-40 towards Trindle getting there before Dearden, because by the time Dearden had got the ball, it had kicked up again, in my opinion. Yep. I think Tricky is so quick across the ground. I think he gets it before that second kick and then could have potentially slid over. So I can understand penalty try. And I actually think it was a benefit to Cowboys. I think both teams benefited from the rule because they didn't lose Reuben Cotter. Therefore, they didn't lose their skipper, who was outstanding in the game too. Mm-hmm. He left absolutely everything out there. Therefore, it would have gassed so many other players in and around. Because you look, during that period, even with 13 on 13, Sharks went on a run and blew them. That mentally would have just drained the Cowboys even more, having only 12 players on the field. So Sharks it's positive for the Sharks because they get scoreboard pressure. They go up 6-0. Tricky, who had an outstanding game, best player on the field by a margin. Yeah. He starts the game unreal. He gets into a groove, so he gets 6 points, and Cowboys don't lose a player. I think it worked out well for both teams.
Have your say during the show, 0457 736 736. Did you think it was a try or no try to kick off the scoring in last night's game? Let's stay on Trindle. You touched on him there. A lot of the focus going into the game was on Nicho Hynes, but it was Trindle who was well and truly the star of the show.
Yep. Yeah, this was it was his half of footy. Nicho did some good things, got the team around. Like, he's the halfback and he's expected to, make sure the flow of the game is going the right way. But in terms of attacking the game, and this is where the sort of the Cowboys, I guess, will look back on this game with a little bit of regret. Like, Braden Trindle was the player out of all 26 players that were on the field that was attacking the game. Like, he puts in that, he scores that first try, but he put in a couple of kicks before that, and he didn't give up on his job, and he kept on moving around. The second try highlights that better than anything, and what a great effort. And then he pushes through on his kick again, and then ends up finding Cam McInnes off the ground. He was outstanding. And there's been evidence of this right from the start of the year. My biggest concerns with the Sharks at the start of the year was I was worried about their X factor. I was worried about, although I believed them to be solid players, Will Kennedy, Brayley, and I still had question marks around Trindle going in the start of the year. They didn't have like most teams, the ability to play through the middle with a lock as well. Cam McInnes is straight up and down. You've seen evidence of it at the start of the year with Trindle straight away. Then he has that little layoff and spends some time for an off-field discretion.
Yep.
That stunted not only in and around the same time that Nico was going through the origin period and then his own injury concerns. It really put the brakes on the Sharks for a little bit. But if you look at purely, their first 10 weeks and then their last 10 weeks, apart from a Melbourne Storm blip last week, it's been pretty impressive what Braden Trindle has put together for the Cronulla Sharks this year.
Let's have a listen to what Fitzy had to say about that Braden Trindle performance.
Yeah, he had the highlight moments. We're going to talk about his halfback partner. He's all right too.
We'll start with Braden first. We'll get there.
No, I thought they were really good. Tricky's been, to be honest, last week we were disappointed with Tricky's performance, and he just same as Nico, just owned it. But I thought they combined really well. But Tricky's he's a hell of a player. We've sort of he's been developing along nicely, and tonight, like those moments, he showed you. Yeah, obviously his kicking game was strong, defence was strong, and then when he had a moment, he went for it and got it. He's a good player, mate.
2 tries for Trindle, 1 try assist, 4 goal line dropouts forced, 20 total kicks for 641 metres. He didn't have the 7 on the back, but he played like a 7, or the controlling half in this game.
Yeah, well, that's why it's... Look, I can understand what Fitzy's doing. He was talking about the highlight moments.
Yep.
But he didn't just do the highlight moments. Check out that stat line. 4 goal line dropouts, produced 20 kicks. He was doing, it felt like a large portion of the attacking kicks.
So Nico had 6 kicks.
There you go, 6 in total. Well, that's what it felt like. Yeah. I hadn't seen the stats with Nico, but I think Fitzy sort of, in a way, hasn't given Braden Trindle enough credit there, despite, talking about the highlight plays. It wasn't just the highlight plays for me. And that's what I guess Tricky has done a lot this year. He's come up with really big moments without having to be orchestrating the offense, but I thought he did both last night. I thought he was clearly the best player on the field.
Let's quickly touch on it because I can see the text rolling through 0457 736 736. Even if we don't read them out on air, we are looking at them and gauging feedback via those texts.
There's too many. They're just
we do get a lot
through
these days, but a lot of chat there I can see already about Nico. Did he do enough in this game? People questioning his pay packet. Should Trindle be getting paid that money? Look, Nico did what he needed to do last night. But if you looked at that side and said, who's your $1 million player, did he do enough?
Comparing the pay packages is unfair.
Yeah.
Nico's earned that pay package up until this point. If you can watch a game when Jack Howarth has a doozy for the Melbourne Storm.
And say,
and you're probably looking at him going, geez, he should probably be on about 600,000 off that single performance.
Mm-hmm.
Nico has earned that over, specifically around his start at the Cronulla Sharks and the Daily M year. But let's just focus on more so what Braden Trindle did last night. And although Nico didn't have to do a whole lot because that's the way the game panned out, Nico and the Cronulla Sharks just needed that win. They got the monkey off the back now. That's going to be so much easier to turn up to a training session on a Monday knowing not only are you one game away from a potential grand final, 80 minutes against the best team in the competition, Penrith. Can't disregard that. But they've got a finals win. That streak is over. And therefore, a lot of that pressure that the Sharks were telling us all week that, wasn't there and they're all good and they're playing with this positive, that's gone now. That's just eased the pressure valve ever so slightly. So, nothing but positives with the Cronulla Sharks off the back of that performance, even though a lot of people are highlighting what Trindle has done here on the text line and less so about sort of Nico's performance. That's what they needed to do. They just needed to get a win, and you can't win a competition with one player. So they were never going to win a competition with Nico Hines completely running the show all the way through. They need 17 guys, and one of his boys' partner in crime, stepped up really well.
Any other notable players for you? Ronaldo Mulitalo, big game from him.
Outstanding, yep. Ronaldo Mulitalo, really good. Britton Nikita in the second half when the game was on the line. A couple of times he come up with... he was I think he would have been running off Nico on a couple of occasions. There was one moment where Nico really nearly come up with a really nice play to ice the game. Tommy Dearden comes up with an outstanding one-on-one tackle on Britton Nicoter. I don't know how he pulled that off. Britton was unreal. I thought Toby Rudolph was really good, and he was a guy who's he did the media scrum this week with Nico as well, and talked about the pressure that was associated, and he talking about his part and the forwards accountability this week. I thought he was really good. I thought Will Kennedy was really good too. A couple of bomb diffusions there. There was one sort of in the second half when Cowboys were getting some momentum. He goes up for it, and when you think about on the flip side with Scott Drinkwater and Will Kennedy diffused every single one of his bombs, and then a couple of times not only caught it, hit the deck and took off and made about 15 or 20 metres. Those runs there, they are so deflating because not only have you not got them pinned in the corner, you're chasing your tail. Even though you get the line set by probably tackle 2 or 3, it feels like, you've got anxiety the entire set thinking, oh no, we've already been broken here on tackle 1, and you're just trying to chase your tail. So I thought Will Kennedy was really good as well.